Hey, it's Lori. I look super cute today, I know. It probably isn't as bad as I think, but I don't know. I just didn't do anything with my hair today. I pulled it up and said, there you go. So I'm going to do some cooking tonight, and I have some pork chops here that I'm going to cook up. And I also have, so Father's Day is coming up this weekend, and one of John's very favorite things is pork steaks. So I'm going to cook those. He's not home yet. He's not going to be home for about an hour and a half. So I'm going to cook those pork chops, wrap them in foil, and throw them in a Ziploc probably. I'm going to wrap them up for the freezer. I'm going to throw them in the freezer until this weekend. So, because today as I'm recording, it's Tuesday. I'm also making, where's my chicken? I lost my chicken. Get back here. I have some chicken breasts right here. I'm going to put those in a skillet here on the stove top and cook it up. I'm going to make some chicken salad, and it's just for me because I'm the only one that likes it like this, but I love chicken salad like this. And it's going to have, I cut some grapes in half. Yes, I cut every one of those little grapes in half. And I'm also going to chop up a couple apples to put in it, and it's going to have some chopped walnuts in it, mayo, and I think that's it. Oh, I'm going to cut up a little bit of celery to put in it too. And I forgot to get the celery out, and if I don't get it out right now, I'll probably forget. So I have a little bit of celery left. I've been eating this for a snack in the evening, since it's been my evening snack, celery with peanut butter. I need to get some more carrots because I really like the carrots with peanut butter too. Okay, so that's what's going to go into the chicken salad. And I'm going to use my electric skillet to cook up all the pork chops. I also have these ribeye chops that I'm going to make right here. A couple packages of these ribeye chops. And I also had one in the freezer, so I pulled it out too. I thought, why not? I'll just make them all. Make them all up. So I'm going to cook up a bunch of ribeye chops, and John will have those for his lunches for the week, plus whoever wants them for dinner tonight. I think a couple of the guys, at least, pretty sure they already had leftover Costco pizza for dinner. I'm going to cook up a nice big pot of quinoa as well, because John wants it for in his lunches. So, and that's a great choice. I love quinoa. So I'll cook some of that up. Probably just cook it in some beef broth, and then he said what he's just going to do is put whatever meat he takes, a scoop of quinoa, and put whatever veggie he takes on top of the quinoa. So that sounds pretty good to me. I have this card in my hand right now because I did write down some questions. I got some questions from you guys. Thank you so much. Some topics to talk about. So if anybody else has any questions or suggestions for topics that I can chit chat about, like while I'm cooking and stuff, let me know in the comments below. Ask me anything. Or just give me a topic to talk about. So today I'm going to talk about, Salvi asked, I'm curious how long you've been married and any insight into how you've made it work. Also, do you have any plans to travel this summer? Now, maybe that could have been two different topics, but you know what? I kind of relate the two. So we're going to talk about that while I'm cooking. Okay, I'm going to put this right here where I can see it if I want to. Okay, I just set it up on my windowsill. All right, so I'm going to get busy and get to cooking here. I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil in here and get it, well, I guess I should get it turned on first, shouldn't I? So there we go. I'll dump some avocado oil in there. I also have some avocado oil here in this skillet that I'm going to cook the chicken in. So I'm going to get that warmed up. Get my skillet warmed up so I can get the chicken in. And I know everything's going to sizzle. So if I'm being honest, I'm probably just going to go ahead and do a voiceover on this while I'm cooking. So I'm just going to start cooking and just let it roll. Okay, so let's get started with those questions. But first I just want to say, so this is probably kind of an out of place thing to say, but this video is going up a day later than I planned. It was supposed to go up last evening, but I got busy, so I didn't get it completed. So my apologies for getting it posted a day late, but that's all right. My afternoon and evening just got a little bit busy, chatted with John over coffee, and he went and lifted while I made dinner, then I went and lifted, and I even sat upstairs and chatted with my guys for a little while. So So I was a busy bee. But anyway, let's just get into the question from Salvi, or questions. So as for the travel this summer, um, I said I kind of related the two, so we'll get into that. But as for the travel this summer, we've got a couple concerts planned. So the beginning of August, we're going to be going to see the Black Crowes, and opening for them will be the band Feel, and that's the band's name. The band's name is the band Feel. They're a rock band out of St. Louis, Missouri. I kind of like them. They kind of have a vibe. So, yeah. And then later on in August, we're going to be going to see Joan Jett's going to open for Billy Idol. So I can't say that I'm the biggest fan in the world of Billy Idol. I almost dropped that apple. Did you see that? But uh, John bought the tickets because he knows I like Joan Jett. So we're going to go to see that. So we really like to take the boys along to the concerts too. And right there, I got another cantaloupe that I need to cut up. All right, let's speed into these apples real quick while I'm chit-chatting away. But we do like to take the boys. Sometimes there'll be different bands that we're going to go see, and they'll be like, yeah, I really, really would like to go see them. And so, of course, we take them. But we also need to do that, just the two of us sometimes, too. So that's getting into um, how I relate the questions. So doing things, just together with just the two of you. Cause like next year, in March of next year, so March of 2026, we will be married 28 years. So right now we've been married for 27 years. So that answers that part of your question. We've been together for 30 years. We've been married for 27, but next year, 2026 March, will be our 28-year anniversary. And I noticed it just so happens to fall on a Friday. So we're talking about maybe planning like a long weekend getaway of some kind, just the two of us. So we haven't decided anything for sure yet, but I'm pretty positive that we are going to go ahead and do some type of just a long weekend getaway, just the two of us. So that's something that's important, is making time for just the two of you to get away and do something, even if you're empty nesters, because we are not. So it's even more important if you're not. But even if you are, it's still important to like get away and do something together. Even the Amazon routes, so we haven't been doing too many lately. They've kind of been a little bit few and far between lately, but we are still doing them now and then, maybe like once a month for now, because John's been working a lot of overtime at his regular job. But even just that, there's a train. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a train. But even just that is something that the two of us are doing together, And so I don't know, it's just something that we do together, and it's almost like a date night. It's like, man, these Amazon routes have gotten to be kind of like a date night, Seriously. So that was just something I wanted to mention because it kind of brings the two questions together. Well, it's really three questions, because curious how long you've been married, any insight into how you've made it work, and do you have any plans to travel this summer? So I guess it was kind of like three questions. But anyway, the first thing that I would say, and just know, I'm not some kind of professional. I'm not a marriage counselor or a relationship therapist or, nothing like that. I'm not a life coach or none of that kind of stuff. But so I'm cutting up that cantaloupe right now. And the last cantaloupe I had, it kind of didn't look very good, and it actually wasn't. It didn't taste very good at all, so I ended up throwing most of it out. But anyway, I had to get a fresh one, so I just wanted to throw that in real quick. Number one thing for making things work for us is absolutely, and I don't think that any marriage counselor or a therapist of any kind would argue that communication is absolutely number one in any relationship. Has to be. It's key. So, like I said, we've been together for 30 years, married 27. For the past 30 years, every single day, John and I have sat down and had coffee together every single day. And it's always after he gets off work. I'm not a morning person, so I'm not going to get up in the mornings and have coffee with him in the mornings. I'm just not. I wouldn't be very enjoyable, okay? I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. But after work, when he gets home from work, it doesn't matter. Even when he was working his two jobs, when he would get home from work at 8:30 at night, we'd sit down and have coffee and conversation. And that's just something, even if I would like go on a trip with my friends and be gone for 3 or 4 days, I'd still call him with a cup of coffee in my hand, and we'd sit and talk, and we would drink coffee together while we were talking on the phone. I'm just saying, every single day, communication is key. It just is. And another thing, so we'll call this number 2. We don't really fight and argue. We really don't. Yes, we disagree, and yes, I admit I nag sometimes. And yes, we've had some differences that were a little more intense, but you know, normally if we do that and one of us is happens to be angry, hang on. John's on his way home. I gotta get these pork steaks out of here because I wanted to surprise him with them. Okay, I knew I talked and said something in that little clip, so I just figured I'd let it play. But it turned out he was coming home from work a little bit earlier than I expected, so I had to hurry up and get those pork steaks wrapped up. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So like, yeah, we've had some a little more intense disagreements where one of us might be actually angry with the other. So honestly, if he gets angry, he doesn't really get, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. He doesn't really get super angry, and if he does, he's pretty good at just communicating without flying off the handle. Me, on the other hand, my personality is different, to where I will fly off the handle. I'll say things I shouldn't say, and I'll regret it later. Things I don't even mean. So normally what I'll do, if I'm the one that's angry, I will normally leave the house. Even if I get in my car and go somewhere, I've got a couple different places I'll go. He knows. Let me go. I'll be back when I think I can handle not freaking out, not blowing my top. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. If I need to just sit and cry, that's what I do. If I need to get out and walk around or go sit in the grass somewhere or talk out loud to myself, have a little therapy session with myself, if that's what I need to do, that's what I do. Stay as long as I need to collect myself to where I'm to the point that I think I can handle being reasonable. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. Okay, had to just cough for a second and get a drink. Now I'm back. But what was I saying? So yeah, I just stay gone long enough to where I think I can be a reasonable person and not be inconsiderate. Then I come back and we talk it over. Like, don't let things fester, because everybody's going to have arguments now and then. Oh my goodness, I'm going to cough again. Okay, so I don't think I've coughed once all day, but as soon as I start trying to talk to you, here I go, coughing my head off. Okay, back to what I was saying. If you get into a kind of argument like that, don't let it fester. Collect yourself, talk it through. Goes right back to that number one thing, communication. It goes right back to it. And that brings me to the next thing, which would be number 3. Admit when you're wrong. Just be able to admit when you're wrong, and that has to work both ways. If you're going to be able to talk things through and actually work things out, it has to work both ways. So, moving on, number 4, what I would say is number 4, he's actually hilarious. So John is actually hilarious. He makes me laugh daily. So laugh together. Find something that you both enjoy, makes you laugh, you find it comical, humorous, whatever. I don't care if it's, watching a comedian that you like on TV or YouTube or whatever, or I don't know, a TV series, jokes. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do it every day, but I'm just saying, find some time to laugh together every now and then, because that's just nice, I mean, Alexa will even tell you jokes if you ask her to. They're kind of dumb, but train. But laugh together. That's just important. So I even asked John if he had any insight on how we've managed to stay married this long and just make it work. And you know what he said? Okay, so he said, always say, yes, dear. And he said, don't watch TV together, then you never fight over entertainment. Oh, yeah, that's the only 2 things he could manage to come up with. So But it does bring me to number 5. Give each other space. Give each other your space to do things with friends or just to do things on their own. Give each other space. That's something that we do, makes things work. We give each other our space for sure. Like, for instance, I've gone on trips for days at a time, a few days to a lake house of a friend of mine on a little girls trip. And oh gosh, I went to Vegas on a girls trip before. And just whatever the case may be, give each other space. He'll go up. He doesn't really like to like go to the bar, but every once in a blue moon he might, with one of his buddies, go down to the bar at the Legion here in town. And I don't care, give each other space to do things like that with friends. Or he'll go out, and so he hasn't golfed in years. He doesn't really like golfing too much, but he's gone out golfing every once in a while with a friend. But like I said, that's been years ago. But I mean, and he walks up, just up the alley from us, and around the corner is the local bowling alley, and his best friend owns it. So he'll go up there and hang out with him for a while and maybe have some drinks or whatever, and then walk back home later. But I couldn't care less. I mean, he needs to do things like that sometimes too. Just give each other space. And what brought that to mind was when he said, don't watch TV together, because in the evenings, he'll sit in the living room, or he'll lay on the couch or sit in his recliner or whichever. He prefers the couch or sofa. Some people like to call it a sofa, but I don't know. We always call it couch. My grandma used to call it a Davenport. I think that was the brand name of it. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject now. But he'll sit out there or lay on the couch, whatever, and watch he likes to watch sports, and he likes to watch shows about like ancient history and stuff. I don't enjoy that at all. But he does. He very much enjoys it. So he'll sit in the living room and watch that. And I'll sit back in my room, like my craft room, my hangout room. And that's where my computer is. My computer chair is super comfortable. I love it. My computer screen's pretty big, and it sits close enough to me that it's kind of like watching TV, I guess. So I'll sit back in my chair, put my feet up. I've got a pillow in here and a blanket and everything if I want it. I've got a heater if I want it. I've got a fan. But anyway, my table's right in front of me, so I can sit a drink there, whatever, snack, whatever. I can sit back here and watch what I usually watch. That pork chop right there, that's mine. That's mine. Anyway, I'll sit back here. What I usually watch in the evenings is true crime stuff, or I like watching like court proceedings. Like I like learning about different court proceedings and stuff. So crime stuff or political stuff. If I'm being honest, that's what I watch. So yeah, we give each other space every evening. He sits and watches what he wants. I watch what I want, and it works out great. And we're honestly really happy like that. So I'll throw in a bonus one too. Show each other appreciation. John and I often show each other appreciation for one another. Even if it's just saying, "Hey, I appreciate that you cleaned out that litter box today," or "I appreciate you mowing the grass," or maybe he'll tell me, "I really appreciate you cooking up all that food for me for my lunches. I really appreciate you doing this or that or the other thing." We do often tell each other, "Hey, I appreciate this or that or the other thing." That really means a lot. And maybe you can even show your appreciation by maybe making a special dessert, or maybe he can bring home something you enjoy eating, or it doesn't have to be food. But I'm just saying, show appreciation to one another. Okay, that's it. That's all I have to say about that. Here's my dinner. I'm going to have some cantaloupe, some quinoa. Here's a piece of toasted bread. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but I'm going to try. Nice serving of chicken salad. All right, there we go. That's going to be my dinner. I knew I was missing something. Lettuce. That would usually go on before the chicken salad, but I just put it next to it instead. Because I just eat an open face like this, cut it up with a knife, and eat it with a fork. So, there's dinner. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.